Okay, everyone, it's Tara here. We are coming to the end of 2020. And I know we all thought we'd be celebrating and charging into 2021 because there would be the end of the cloud that's been hovering over us, and there would be this new, fresh beginning with 2021. And we could do the whole new year, new you fanaticism, set our goals and resolutions, and charge forth, having broken out of what has been a really difficult year for so many people, as 2020 has. I know very few people that are in that state. I am not in that state. I know more people that are dragging their bellies across the floor, clawing their ways to the end of the hallway, not to the end uh, of the runway. So if that's you, you're not alone. Here's also what's happened that might be causing this crisis fatigue that we're all under. I mean, our nervous systems were created to be not just resilient, but also responsive. So initially, we all experienced a little bit of this fight or flight. And depending on the kind of work that you're doing with people, or to adapt or to be part of this pandemic experience, you might be going into fight or flight quite regularly. So obviously really important to be able to come out and regulate out of fight or flight into your calm baseline, your parasympathetic. But what also happened that we're less used to and less really designed for, because fight or flight is supposed to be a moment, this response of survival, and then a regulation down. What we've mostly been put into for the last half of 2020 has been freeze. So shutdown, lockdown, even the language that they use to describe these things, that lack of mobility, it's not just out there. It's not just about behavior. It's actually about your nervous system going into another survival response, which is freeze. A lot of people feel very shut down right now. That is, if you're familiar with the polyvagal theory, there is part of that. That's that freeze response, that conservation, that pulling inward, pulling away. Well, we're all at home. We're all pulled away from people. We're all encouraged to do that because it's a safe thing to do. But our nervous systems are in this stuck freeze state for many, many people. If you're not in fight or flight, you're stuck in freeze. And so there are emotional, mental, and physical health implications from that conservation mode, that state of being. Now, we can't combat that by, bursting out and going back into regular life, but we can soften it. We can melt the freeze state a little bit by some of our intentions and behaviors going into 2021. If you're also in a time warp and can't remember what year it is, then you're with me. So 2021, what are some things that will help? Being in freeze state is that sense of not being able to do anything, and that despair of no light at the end of the tunnel. So we have to create what we don't have. And how we can do that is, at some point this will end. So what will you look forward to? What will you do first when this does end? And what can you start planning for, even if you don't have an end date? Often with goals, we have the SMART goals. You set an end date and then you go to it. There's a deadline. No deadlines this year. They don't exist. You can create them yourself if you want to. But what could you start working on that gives you hope for how you're going to celebrate getting through this whole time, however long it lasts? So that is one thing that will help kind of fast forward you out of this moment in freeze into a time when you have more freedom. The key is to really imagine it, what you'll do, who you'll be with, what it looks like, smells like, tastes like, and feel it. What do you notice in your body? Make it an experience as you imagine what it's going to be like when this is over. That's one thing that you can do. You can also go to reverse to the past about things that you really loved doing before that made you feel alive, that gave you expansion. And it could be movement, it could be vacation, it could be something else that you were doing with your mind. So find another time where you lived in a state more naturally that you really wish you had now. And so you can go forward, you can go back in this moment. What can you do day by day going into this next year that's going to help keep you from locking yourself down from the inside out? So learning is really important. And I know you might feel too fatigued to focus and to learn and to tackle something new, but I promise you, if you go in with the intention of little things, even little things. So it could be something, a different way of moving, like an animal flow or something primal or a yoga or something that's opening, stretching, moving. All of those things physically actually have that same kind of impact on your mindset, on your mind. They do have the impact on your neurotransmitters where you're supporting a healthy state and feeling better in the moment, but they also have the ripple effect of what you do in the gym, what you do in your body actually opens things up in your mind also. So definitely have some physical challenges that are just something new without the pressure. I'm just going to experiment and explore and play. So one of the things that's been absent because things are so serious is we've become very serious about ourselves. We're very serious about other people and feedback and interactions. Everything's very serious. And we're designed to regulate by playing and by laughter. So there has to be the fluctuation and the fluidity between state. You can't be in survival mode and then never come out of it into relaxation mode and then never have the spark of playfulness. You must have them all. And if they're not naturally existing in your life right now because the world has changed the way that it has, then you have to create them. And sometimes that'll be through online methods, and sometimes it'll be just remembering what it's like to be foolish and impish and ridiculous and silly. And there's an abundance of things that will make you laugh out loud. And it's really important for your family that you are still playing together. It's really important for your mind, you're still playing together. But that exploration, that curiosity, that desire to learn, whether you're learning a new language week by week, whether you're learning a new way to move, the brain needs to be learning. It actually gets activated if it's too bored also. So you want to find things that you can tolerate, but also make sure that you enjoy them. Don't do shit that you hate right now. That's the worst possible thing you could do just to reach a goal. You do a bunch of movement or you set a bunch of goals or you change something that, and then you just hate it. We don't need more of that. We need you to find ways that you can explore and play and be curious and experiment with your life in ways that you will actually enjoy. If your goal for 2021 was nothing else, how can I find more enjoyment in my life every single day? How can I laugh more every single day? How can I play more every single day? If that was your only intention and it was 5 minutes of it, that's going to stack on itself, create new positive neural pathways in your brain, in your mind, and give you a better state to experience the next year with. Remember, you are stronger than you think. We were created to be adaptive and flexible, to be responsive, and to get through things. For many of us, we have been through far worse than this. In my work as a trauma therapist with sexually assaulted children, they've been through far worse than any of us will experience. And so while this is tough, there is the perspective shift of most of us have been through worse in a moment and survived. We are created to experience despair and pain and all of these horrors, as well as, let's not forget, the heights of emotion, the heights of experience, what it's like to feel joy and love and euphoria and just a state of perfect health and human experience. We're losing that because we're polarizing, we're planting our flag on one side or the other of whatever the issue is. We're losing our ability to be flexible and open. One of the best things about therapy is it takes what is unconscious and makes it conscious. It takes what is fixed and rigid in your mind and it makes it fluid and it creates flow. And by doing that, you are able to change we know through neuroplasticity, you can change so much of how you exist in the world and how you feel and how your mind works. So this is no exception. We're designed for this. You can do this. We are all doing this. Small intentions around being open, curious, playful, fluid. This is going to help you. through this next year. If you have big, bold goals, I want to hear all about them, and I want to be around you and all of that energy that you have to make that happen. I have a few myself, and I'm revving up for them. But for now, coming to the end of this, be gentle on yourself and graceful. You've never gone through this before, probably. So it's new. What have you learned? And what are you going to do next? So have an intention that is going softly into 2021. And trust me that you are built for more than you feel like you are coming to the end of this year. I know it for myself. I believe it for you. And I want to hear more about what you're doing going into the new year to stay open.